Hey, this is Heidi Lynch.
And I'm Perrie Voss. And this is Avocado Toast, the series podcast.
Our web series was inspired by our real life experiences,
The great ones
and the heartbreaking ones. And our podcast series is inspired by the community around us, the people we collaborate with, the people who lift us up, the people who listen when things aren't going so well and celebrate when things are.
And in our podcast, we wanted to reach out and chat with other artists and creators to find out what makes them tick, what inspires them,
what drives them,
what brings them joy.
We hope that they inspire you as much as they inspired us.
Enjoy. Today, Perrie chats with James M Findlay, on-set sound mixer and composer.
Hi, James.
Hi, Perrie. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good. So today we have James M Findlay, who is a sound designer and location sound mixer. And we were lucky enough to have James join us for 20 shoot days on the set of Avocado Toast season 1.
Feels like yesterday, but
Yeah.
Looking at it now, yeah, it's definitely
It like
almost a year ago. It's crazy.
simultaneously to me feels like a year ago and also like 5 years ago. So
Right.
I don't know how it's both, but
Right, yeah, fair enough.
So we worked with you, and you were like a one-man sound department, which I was just constantly in awe of. Your massive boom, and what is that thing that you wear around your shoulders and your
Oh, so the harness and the bag. So
Yeah.
like I have a bag that sort of sits on my chest and sort of a specialty harness that helps protect my back and that sort of stuff, especially when we're doing long shoot days and I'm doing the one-man band thing. So
Yes.
yeah, it's a lot, but you know what? We were working in smaller spaces and that sort of thing, and it made more sense for me to just be doing it one-on-one
Yeah.
sort of thing. And
Yeah.
having an extra person in there, just as much as it's nice to have your own boom op, sometimes, especially in an intimate sort of comedy like this, you kind of need to be there just as that person and engaged in the whole process. So
Totally.
one-man band in that regard was very helpful.
Yeah.
Not
And
so
you're
helpful
such
on my
a
back, but
sorry.
so not so helpful on my back, but
Right. That's what massages and hot tubs are for.
yeah, exactly. It's fine.
I had the joy of helping out Jay Stevens, who I already interviewed on this, who did a short, and I was their boom person. And I had already like been watching you on set and been like, that looks hard, to just where your arms are over or like crouching in a corner. And yeah, I got a little taste for 4 days, and I just bow down.
Well, I'm glad you were able to experience that.
It
Hopefully, it's a bit of a contortionist sort of job at
is.
times.
It is. There's a photo
Yeah.
of you somewhere that I think I'm gonna have to find, that you're crouched in that tiny little sound box with me. The like,
Yeah.
it's like a room that is just the size of a phone booth, basically, and you're like, no, I'll fit.
Yeah, I somehow managed to fit myself into tiny little corners
Yeah.
like everywhere. I've been on the bottom of elevators, on the floor half the time. It's just sometimes you can't go above, so you go below.
You go below. No, it's a huge maneuver, and as I said, I bow down. So what have you been doing? I think you've been very busy since we wrapped production. Well, and
Yeah.
post production as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think you've been really busy.
I have been, yeah. I've been, obviously the pandemic happened, is happening.
Mhm.
So I've been very lucky in that since I also do a lot of post production work, I'm able to cover off a lot of bases. So when everything sort of shut down, um, besides working on your guys' piece, a few
Mhm.
other things ended up coming my way. I work a lot with our producer Charlie David, and with a lot of our TV projects. So
Yeah.
I had some stuff come through them, specifically something called a show called Drag Heels, which has
Mhm.
been a wonderful piece to work on as well.
And that's airing on
Um,
Out TV right now as well,
it
right?
is, yeah, right now.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're on episode 6 as of Friday. So yeah, it's
Amazing.
coming to a close, but you know what? It's been an absolutely really great to see that one come to life as well. It's obviously a different sort of vibe than what we did on set, narrative versus sort of a docu style sort of thing.
Yes.
But has a different vibe. But besides that, I'm working on a feature right now. I'm back on set, so that's always fun out in Hamilton.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been really great, back and forth driving, but
Yeah.
all good.
What does that feature? Can you talk about it at all?
Yeah, that one's called Albatross. It's a period piece. It's based in around the sort of late 50s, early 60s. It has to do with a young interracial couple, which at the time was not very accepted, obviously.
Yeah.
And then also an older couple as well, more high society sort of thing. But
Mhm.
the husband is gay but has not been out, and their marriage and stuff ensues, and there's a pool involved.
Oh,
And it's
wow. There's a pool involved.
yeah, we were doing a shoot at the pool in November, which was colder than we expected, but made
Oh
for
my
really
gosh.
beautiful steam coming off the heated pool. So
Right. At least it was
yeah,
heated and they weren't just
it
like,
looked
pretend it's not cold.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it was an actually cold pool, I think the actors would have been pretty brutalized.
Yeah, that would have been totally brutal. Well, that's fun. So you're doing that for the rest of November, or when do you wrap?
Yeah, that ends around the end of November, mid-November sort of thing. And then besides that, just this is actually the one time, oddly enough, I've had, even though I am on set 5 days a week, it's still quieter than it usually is for me.
Amazing.
So I've had, time to relax at home, even though I'm still on set for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, totally. But you're a huge multitasker. Like you're always working and yeah, you just all hours.
Yeah, sometimes to my own detriment, but yes,
Fair
it's
enough.
been,
I'm the same. I get it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So have you felt that sort of COVID lull at all, or have you been sort of head down continuing on?
A little bit here and there. Like certainly there was some stuff early on where there were some lost gigs and that sort of stuff, but I think everybody sort of felt that when it happened.
Yeah.
I had a few weeks off right at the beginning. I was actually just in the US at that time,
Mm,
and I was shooting a thing for a documentary series for CBC,
hmm.
and we flew back on the Friday, and then they locked down everything on Sunday. So I
Wow.
was supposed to be jumping onto a feature right on Monday, and that just obviously got shut down. So
Yeah.
it's a little nerve-wracking traveling through U.S. airports at that time when everything was getting a little crazy. But
Yeah.
I managed to get home, and it was nice just being at home and spending time with my partner and just enjoying time here. And
Mm-hmm.
it you know in this industry, we don't often get a lot of time off.
That's right.
So taking that extra bit of time to just breathe and decompress and sort of take in what was happening was really important, I think.
Great.
For everybody, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I was saying it sort of was the reverse for me and I guess some members of our team too, like where it's like, yes, the pandemic was happening, but we were so busy in post-production and getting the launch ready to go for Avocado Toast that we weren't feeling that sort of like, oh no, everything's ground to a halt, because
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't. It was like
No,
full on
exactly.
take
Yeah,
off mode.
absolutely. And I think the second, almost right away, as soon as you guys wrapped up, I was right in the thick of it, right? And
Yes.
so just hit the ground running with that, and
Yeah.
ripped through that as fast and as best as we could, and
Yeah.
we got a great result. And it was really
Hmm.
nice to, and you and I worked directly quite
Yes.
a bit,
Quite a
which
bit,
was very
which
nice.
it was really nice. I really loved
Yeah,
working with you on those sessions. It was
yeah, me
fun.
too.
It's too bad it couldn't have been in person, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. But like the Zoom option does work. It's
it
not
does.
ideal. Timing isn't, there's obviously delays and you can't tell about timing things and that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
overall, it worked pretty well. And we were able to do a bit of ADR, which was nice.
Yeah.
Um, being very safe and being very careful.
I remember being so excited to come to your house because I can't remember when that was, sometime in April, I think,
Yeah,
like
that
early
sounds right.
April.
Yeah.
And you were the first in-person person that I had seen for like a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like, scarves and stuff, but I was like unreasonably excited to go do ADR with you.
Well, it was a nice change for me too, because we had been sort of sitting in the house and disinfecting every
Yeah.
piece of groceries that came in the door. So obviously things have changed a little bit there, but it was really great to have you and Heidi all over and sort of reconnect and
Yeah.
through through glass windows, but all the same.
Yeah,
We were
we were
still in person, so it was nice.
exactly. Yeah, we weren't looking at a screen.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah,
So, in the experience with you in Avocado Toast, now that you've had some sort of time to sort of let it all settle and thinking back, do you have any standout moments from, being on set or, production or anything like that that you can look back on and I mean, I don't know what you've gleaned from it, but yeah, just do you have any standout moments?
totally I can. I would say on production, certainly the like the cottage area, that time was really, really special. It was
Yeah.
nice to, just be in a space with everybody. And I think that was the last time I'd been like with a group of people, able to hang out, still really connected. We were in the thick of it, but we were, it just felt very bonding for everybody at
Mhm.
that time.
Yeah.
And, I think straddling Cam in the back of the car was definitely
Oh, elaborate.
having to somehow manage to fit both of us in the back of that extremely noisy vehicle
Yes.
was so
Your
much fun.
favorite, your
It was
favorite
hilarious.
shot for
Yeah, I
sure.
think I think my first comment the second we turned it on is like, oh well, we're doing ADR here.
Yeah.
And I don't think we actually did in the end. I think, oh well, we did. I think we filled in just a little bit of story stuff to help sort
I
of.
think, yeah, I think there was something, but it wasn't. This is just for context. This is that like classic car that we're driving through the woods in when we're going on the road trip, Heidi and I. But yeah, I think we managed to get the sound of the car with your magic low enough that we were able to, because there was still would have been a sound. So you're selling
Oh
that
yeah,
sound, right?
totally. Yeah,
So
and certainly in post production, I added some stuff in there just to add a bit of like, to add to the fact that that car was like rumbly and a little rickety.
yeah,
I added some like dinging and that sort of stuff, and just
yeah.
random little noises that sort of help you understand that it's a fun car, but it's a little rough around the edges. But for an old car,
It's
that's
what
kind
it
of cool.
is.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
just occurred to me that I feel like they would have had it on a car bed in like a bigger budget production. So that's why we don't always hear that jet engine rumbling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely, and that's usually the case. But I'd say more often than not, I don't end up doing that. I
mhm,
more often than not end up rigging up a regular car and just sort
mhm,
of going with it.
right.
Most cars are pretty quiet now; you can sort of get away with it, but
That one was an
the car
exception.
was not so quiet.
No. Oh, I agree. I think somehow talking to you, like, and I just there's something about going to that cottage that I have such like a huge love memory of, and yeah, bonding with the cast and crew both while we were shooting and then afterwards, and just yeah, seeing those big stars, and yeah, it was just such a wonderful.
It was a really, really great time.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved it there.
yeah.
Um, and then in post production, certainly, we talked about the ADR session. That was really great. But I
Mhm.
think my favorite moments was between you and I.
Yeah,
To just, you know, really work through and refine all the parts that, given COVID, we weren't really able to get into the nitty gritty of too many things
right.
until that point, and because of the general pace of post production that happens.
Yeah,
Um, but you and I just we got into it. We really dug in deep and got into every single aspect of every episode, went through every single part all together,
yeah,
and that just made a huge difference in small, minute changes that can just elevate a piece so much. And so we really kind of brought that back up to exactly where I think you guys wanted it. And
hmm,
inevitably, it would have been great to have done it in person, obviously, but
yeah,
given the times, we did the best we could, and us doing that together and connecting and bonding on a deeper level as well during that time was really,
yeah.
really great.
I totally agree. That was a huge highlight of my post-production process, just getting to and also understanding like what post sound can do
Mm-hmm.
like in live time with you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really loved it's a huge part of why I want to, look at post supervision in some areas and some projects because I really love the post process. And I think, yeah, sitting in color session with Red Lab, and then, sound sessions with you, I love seeing how even just changing where the volume of a song swells.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the correct terminology,
Yeah,
but
no,
like where,
that's
in a moment, and how that can really inform and give more emotion to a moment visually.
absolutely. And it can be such a small little thing that you don't really think too much about when you're watching a piece,
Yeah.
but it completely changes the emotion of something. So you really get a sense of not really sort of like slapping somebody in the face like this is how you're supposed to feel in this time, but
Mhm.
you sort of lull them into that feeling, and those small changes make a huge difference in how somebody views a piece and gets engaged with it, and then also just like has the feels from it too, right?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. And you're so collaborative. So it was really fun to go back and forth with ideas. And sometimes I would have like a very specific thought about something, and you're like, have you thought about doing this? And I was like, no, that's genius. So yeah, it was really fun to go back and forth with that. I agree.
Absolutely.
And you compose a little bit too, right? Like
I
you
do,
are.
yeah, I do a great deal of composition work too. More commercial work, some film work as well.
Yeah.
It's sort of it varies. I
Yes.
sort of I do a lot of stuff, and you can probably see. Well, you
Oh, it's
can't
just a
really see it, but you can
couple
just a couple
objects
little
in the
things.
background.
That's only half the wall.
It's
I watch
true.
other stuff and equipment and
Yeah. Yeah.
but yes, I do a fair amount of composition work too. Some stuff, like I said, mostly commercial stuff,
Mhm.
bank work. Um, I've done stuff for Vimeo in the past. I did their launch,
Mhm.
worldwide launch, PlayStation, various other things, sort of thing.
Amazing.
And so it tends to be shorter pieces. But that being said, I do I do short film work as well, music for that.
Yeah.
Um, I just had something premiere in TIFF that I did all the sound for and music for, so that was really fun.
Amazing.
Called Sinking Ship.
What is it called?
Um,
Sorry.
Sinking Ship.
Oh,
It's
Sinking Ship Productions, or it's
no,
the
not
same.
Sinking Ship Productions. No, the short film was called Sinking Ship. It was with the director called Sacha Lee Henry.
Okay.
So it was French language. Actually, we had I think it was 3 or 4 different languages on set that we did, but the piece that we presented for TIFF was just in French. And it's just about older relationships, sort of like I'd say like just before middle age, uh, couple, and then also had some like VFX in the background of like waves moving and that sort of stuff. So that was really fun sound design wise to
Hmm.
create music and sound based on the dialogue and the emotion of it and sort of leading into that. So
Oh, that's very cool.
yeah, it was a
I
lot
love
of fun.
that. I love that. Well, I hope I can work on a project that I can get you to compose something for it, because I
Absolutely.
am very curious about how that process works for you.
Absolutely. You guys
Yeah.
were really you guys had some amazing music in this, and I think music was like a pivotal part of this whole series. It made I remember when we were talking earlier with Sam and you and Heidi and Charlie as well, and just
Yeah.
how much time and effort you guys went into to pick the exact right pieces for what you were going for, and it
Yes.
made such a huge difference in like I think when we started out, I was my impression was to like bury the music in the background of the bar or something like that and not have
Yeah.
it play so prominently. And then you guys were like, no, 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 we spent so much time on this. We got the right feeling for the exact thing. We want to hear every note. I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I can bring this nice and front and center, which in some ways makes it easier in some ways because but getting that right balance is important.
Yeah.
But bringing the music up as we talked about really does allow you to move that emotion and the dialogue along with the music itself. So
Totally. Yeah, no, and we were really lucky to get the artists that we did. I know way back in development, like even before we had funding, we'd had this like idea that it would be fun to work with Toronto bands and try and elevate Canadian music. And I don't think not, that we would be the platform to elevate Canadian music, but just wherever, it's great when you have artists working together for a piece,
definitely.
and indie artists working together for a piece. And I just, yeah, it was so much work to make that all happen, and I mean, yeah, to be able to do that was such a gift, and yeah, it was cool. We thought of it as like another character in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, and it definitely ended up being that way in the end. So I was
Cool.
really happy with everything you guys chose in that regard, and it just made the whole piece as well. It just helped everything, you know, every bit of elements that went into making of avocado toast just led to this, you know, peak that just really helped everything. Everything just sort of fit right into place as we went along, and that was just so nice to see at the end result.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you think so too, because from us and a sound person, you don't always know if you're, but I'm glad to hear that you agreed. So that's great.
Absolutely. I still laugh
Um,
every time I watch it. So
Part of you like,
I
yeah,
still laugh every time I watch it. So
that's so cool. That's awesome. I know, and sometimes it'll come on in a playlist when I'm in the car or something on my phone, and I'm like, oh, and I'm right back in that moment. It's yeah, it's really funny.
yeah,
Music can
absolutely.
do that for sure.
Yeah.
Were there any projects in your career or moments as you were sort of developing your career where you felt like there was a really big learning moment for you in terms of something that you were not successful at, but you then were able to go forward and say, "Oh my gosh, like thank God I had that setback because I wouldn't be here now."
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, One in particular comes to mind, and it has less to do with me having a failure, but it was a failure of communication across the board.
Mm.
Um, and so, obviously, I won't name names or anything like that,
Mhm.
but there was a commercial piece that was a fairly lower budget. It was early on in my career.
Mhm.
I had asked to compose some music for it, and there were a number of delays, and communication to me was not great to begin with. So when I
Mm.
did finally get the project files and started working on stuff, they had some like temp music in there just to give me an idea of the vibe they were going for. And so, I
Yeah.
took that and went something, changed it up and made it feel like what I had intended for it. And then I ended up, delivering the finals to the producer. And in the end, the producer came back to me and was like, "We have to deliver this today, but this is the wrong music." I was like, "What do you mean it's the wrong music?" It's like, it is, it's close to what you guys sent me in that it has the right tone, it has the right vibe. He's like, "No, no, this is the music you were supposed to have referenced." I was like, "You guys didn't send me that music."
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, it was rough, and they were already like, inevitably post sound all and music always gets delayed till, always gets push 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 push. And
Mhm.
so they were like, "We need to deliver the client today," like blah blah blah. And so it got sorted in the end after, a bit of back and forth, but
Yeah.
it was a really good learning curve to me to right off the bat start the communication process, get everything confirmed, have people, sign off on stuff right off the
Mm.
bat, because in the end, it's nobody's fault but your own if something doesn't get done in time,
Mhm.
or if there's a lack of communication to you. It
Mhm.
shouldn't be up to you. Like, it's not your responsibility to make sure things are communicated properly to you, but it is a little bit also, because if
Right.
you're if there's something that's unclear, and there's, any numerable problems that end up coming up, you are still the one that has to deal with them. If you don't deal with them and you don't get confirmation right off the bat, then it's gonna come bite you in the ass. So that was one that I sort of always look to whenever I'm like, "Oh, have I communicated enough on this project?" And like, maybe I should do a little more.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. No, that's and there's so many moving parts in any production that you really do need to make sure you're talking to the right person and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, do you have a favorite character in Avocado Toast? You do not have to say Elle.
That's okay.
I'll still love you.
Ella's still. I probably relate to Elle the most. I
Cool.
would say, as
Yeah.
like, just given my experiences in terms of divorce and parental stuff like that, I can
Mhm.
definitely relate to that. And working in a professional space and seeing that upward motion, but then having emotional stuff that gets in the way and personal stuff that gets in the way of that.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to those sorts of things. So I would say, in terms of on a personal level, I relate to Elle, or your character, probably the most.
Yeah.
Just simply in terms of personal life and parental stuff that's happened to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just growing up with baby boomer parents and having that professional life and things happen and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But in terms of my favorite character, I would say Meredith is my favorite, or Macduffins. She just, her honesty and her bluntness and her just like whimsical nature to her, but
Yeah.
being able to go from like super whimsical to like very honest and serious, like in a heartbeat, but with no effort.
Yeah.
Just kills me every time.
Yeah.
So she absolutely, and she's just such a lovely person to begin with.
Oh my
It's hard
gosh.
not to love her character.
Oh,
So.
I know. No, I know. She's amazing. Yeah, I know. And yeah, she can have this lightness to her. And then the next beat, she's like really grounded and like in her truth. And yeah,
Absolutely.
it's so incredible. Yeah.
She's really like carried that sort of, boomer hippie aesthetic into the now
Mm-hmm.
in the way that I would hope people would, but
Yeah.
hasn't always happened to a lot of boomers, I don't think.
No, some of them just feel a little tired or something, but
Well, kids and mortgages and jobs tend to get in the way of
they'll
those
do
sorts of
that.
idealized things, but
Yeah.
I do like that she's, as a character, she's carried that through.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, we're getting lots of good feedback about the moms. I agree. I think they're just such strong characters, and yeah, they're incredible. And then in the vein of favorite parts of the show, do you have a favorite moment that you can think of in the show that, watching it back, or the multiple times that you were watching playback for sound?
The part that still gets me every time is well, there's two actually.
Okay.
The van scene kills me every time.
Oh my God.
The van sex scene was so good. Creating that whole thing, like the creaking van, the shaking, the like,
Oh,
and then like I think we did some ADR for the meows and stuff like
we
that.
definitely did. And we had our production designer slamming her body into the van to like get it to rock. And oh man.
That was a really, really fun one. And then
Yeah.
the jump cuts to there suddenly. We would jump back to there.
Yeah.
That was really fun. That was a blast.
Cool.
And then I think the next one was where Jonathan was on the desk. The like little was on
The intro?
Yeah, the little intro piece.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Shut up! You get back to work." That part, like,
fully improvised.
like yeah, totally.
Oh my God, like brilliant.
Yeah.
The huge reason we were like, we want you more. We're gonna bring you into a bigger role next year. So yeah,
absolutely. Those two are definitely, and there's such quick moments.
Yes.
But they were really, really fun.
And I think that they just hit something. I agree that, like, I mean, the van thing, every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my God. But I mean, I think people do love it. And the same with the Jordan at the desk. It just makes me scream. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much, James, for both talking to me today and also just being such an asset to our set. You bring such an incredible energy, and I relish spending time with you. So I'm so glad we got to know each other during the shoot. Yeah.
Me too.
And we'll have to do it again in season 2.
I'm really looking forward to that. It's
yeah.
really exciting that we're getting back to that. So yeah.
I can't wait. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and in the rest of the feature shoot, I hope really goes well. And we'll connect on something really soon.
Sounds great, buddy. Looking forward to it.
Me too. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening.
And thank you to Ontario Creates for the support to make Avocado Toast the Series podcast possible. You can pick your player to watch all 10 episodes of Avocado Toast the Series at www.avocadotoasttheseries.com.
We'd also love to give a huge shout out to Russell Lauder for the use of their beautiful song, Cost of Living. You can find more of their music sprinkled throughout the episodes of our web series, as well as on Spotify, Bandcamp, and iTunes. And links to their social media is in our show notes.